Good evening and welcome to Front Page on the AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. And I have to say, it is so encouraging to constantly hear your voice, especially in our live broadcasts Monday through Fridays, 7 p.m. onwards. Front Page started when we had only 60K subscribers, and today we are at 250,000. And that's only been possible because of your love and support. We thank you as a team, which is the Front Page team, to have made this a reality and the best New Year's gift possible we could have ever imagined. We, of course, are still a little greedy. So please keep going with the likes, shares, and subscribes. Of course, a very happy new year. Well, tonight on the show, we track big money, which is being committed, big bets are being made, and the global order is adjusting faster than it looks. Here are the headlines. Gujarat launches IAIRO with a 300 crore rupees budget under a triple P model, partnering with the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance. The project focuses on healthcare, AI, indigenous IP, and creating high-skilled jobs. SoftBank finalizes its $40 billion investment in OpenAI after liquidating assets like NVIDIA. The funds will fuel Project Stargate infrastructure. Despite circular economy concerns, the move secures SoftBank 10% ownership as valuations soar toward $500 billion. India surpasses Japan to become the world's fourth largest economy with a $4.18 trillion GDP, fueled by a 10,300 crore rupees AI mission aimed at adding $1.7 trillion by 2035. The nation now targets Germany for the third spot. And finally, Beijing enforces a 50% domestic equipment quota for chip makers, backed by a $49 billion state fund. This move threatens revenue for Western giants like NVIDIA and Intel while positioning India as the industry's emerging lifeboat. Good evening. Gujarat is done talking. The state cabinet has just cleared a massive deal. The location is Gift City. The project is the Indian AI Research Organization, or IAIRO, and the price tag 300 crore rupees. That is the golden number. 300 crore rupees over the next 5 years to build, to code, to conquer. And of course, before we move on, I have to say this. We started Front Page when we were only at 60K subscribers. Today, with all of your love and support, we are at 250,000 subscribers. Of course, this is something which we cherish and we want to continue to cherish. And it's probably the best New Year's gift that we could have ever imagined. Of course, we're a little greedy here at Front Page. So we will please request you to continue to shower us with your support and love by constantly liking, sharing, and subscribing. Now, of course, back to Gujarat. We had the India AI mission from the center. We had Gujarat's own AI action plan. Lots of PDFs, lots of meetings, but no engine. No vehicle to take these policies off the paper and onto the roads. IAIRO is that very vehicle. Why? Because of how the bill is paid. Let's bust some jargon first. This operates on a triple P model, which means that stands for public-private partnership. Think of it as a collaboration, a shared risk, if you will. Here is the math. The state government pays 33.33%, the central government pays 33.33%, and the private industry pays the final 33.33%. So everyone has skin in the game, everyone is invested. So let's just think of it like a community garden for technology. The government provides the fertile land and the water. That's, of course, the infrastructure and the funding. The private companies, well, they bring the seeds and the farming expertise. The goal, that is to grow crops that everyone can consume. Of course, who are the farmers, you ask? Well, This is the plot twist. You would expect IT giants, maybe a TCS or an Infosys. Wrong. The anchor partner is the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance. We, of course, are talking Big Pharma, Sun Pharma, Cipla, the giants of medicine. They aren't just making pills anymore, they are actually funding the code. They are putting up their share of that 300 crore rupees. Why pharma? Because a lot of the early work on new drugs now happens on servers before it ever reaches a lab. This 300 crore rupees investment is a shift. We want to move from, well, service to product, from support to creator, which suggests it is about owning intellectual property. So what does this mean for you? Yes, you, that wonderful 25-year-old who's watching this on your phone. It means two things. Number one, jobs. Congratulations. High-skilled jobs right here in Gujarat. You don't have to move to Silicon Valley to work on deep tech. The ecosystem is being built in Gift City. Number two, health. With pharma giants running the show, the AI developed here will focus on healthcare, faster diagnostics, cheaper medicines. AI that can actually predict a disease before you even feel a symptom. That is the promise. And in conclusion, as always, the front page take. The clock is ticking. Operations are scheduled to start from January 1st. It will run as a Section 8 company. That means it's a non-profit. It isn't there to squeeze cash. It's actually there to squeeze out innovation. The budget is set 300 crore rupees. The players are ready, government and pharma. The location is prime, Gift City. It's actually a bold experiment. A community garden, if you will, for the digital age. Now the question is, will it bloom or will it wither away? We, of course, will be watching, and in turn, so will you. This is Front Page by AIM Network. Like, share, subscribe, and always remember, think AI, think AIM. As of yesterday, the wire transfer is complete. The final tranche, $22.5 billion. And that, to the previous checks, the total is $40 billion. SoftBank is now officially all in. The investment is a $40 billion investment in OpenAI. At that level, SoftBank now owns about 10 to 11% of OpenAI, which, trust me, is not a small holding at all. Of course, before we move on, I have to say this, and we say it with a lot of gratitude to everyone who's watching. When we started Front Page, we started with only 60K subscribers. And today, we are proud to say that we are 250,000 and growing. And that has only been possible because of all of your love and support. We, of course, would request that this wonderful little year of giving keeps continuing into the next year. We are a little greedy, so please continue with your likes, shares, and subscribes. And of course, we can say it again and again. This has been one of the best gifts that we have received as a Front Page team in terms of the new year. Of course, wishing you all a very happy new year. And now, back to NVIDIA and SoftBank. To raise the cash, Masayoshi Son had to sacrifice his prized possessions. A, which is NVIDIA, the king of chips, the stock everyone holds. B, SoftBank, the desperate seller. Son liquidated his entire $5.8 billion stake in NVIDIA. Wow. He sold T-Mobile US shares. He stripped the assets to the bone. He actually famously said that he was actually crying while he hit the sell button. But then the question is, why sell the golden goose to buy the dragon? He believes the chip makers are just the highways. He wants to own the destination. So where does this $40 billion investment go? It doesn't go to chatbots. It goes to concrete and power. Enter Project Stargate, a joint venture. OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank. It's actually a $100 billion supercomputer. They are actually building the brain of God. Yeah, I know it sounds very dramatic, but that's actually what it is. In the middle of the desert. And Son isn't just funding the software. SoftBank just acquired Digital Bridge for $4 billion. That's the infrastructure, the data centers, the pipes. He now controls the model, he controls the home, he controls the power. Oh, and by the way, if you're not seated right now, I suggest you take a seat, as this part might make you dizzy, because the last time when we covered this, we had a few complaints about people feeling lightheaded. So if you're all set, here we go. Step 1. SoftBank pours $40 billion into OpenAI. Step 2. OpenAI commits a staggering $300 billion to Oracle for cloud computing. Step 3. Oracle borrows $108 billion to build the data centers to honor that contract. Step 4. Oracle takes that borrowed cash and buys $40 billion worth of NVIDIA chips. You think we were done? No, here's step 5. And who invests back into OpenAI? Yes, NVIDIA. Round and round we go. Hope you're not dizzy, because I am. Let me take a little breath. Of course, with this money go round, everyone's stock goes up. But is it real growth, or is it just the same dollar bill moving at the speed of light? Because when we look at the price, SoftBank bought it at a valuation of roughly $300 billion. In secondary markets, that number is already being pushed closer to $500 billion. Nothing fundamental has changed, mind you, in between all of this, just the ownership. So on paper, that looks like a win. But we've seen this cycle before. Vision Fund, WeWork, the rush to price in the future before it arrives. So the question isn't whether OpenAI is important. It clearly is. That's established. The question is whether $500 billion reflects belief or just a rush. And now for the front page take. So how do we read the tea leaves? I like the imagery. Here is the front page take. Masayoshi Son is chasing redemption. He committed the cardinal sin of venture capital, which is selling the future too early. He dumped NVIDIA, he missed the first wave, and today he forces his way back in. So is he burning the furniture to feed the fire? Liquidating solid assets to fund a theoretical supermind? He warns that ASI will eventually make humans look like goldfish. So probably with this check, I guess, Son is making sure that he is not swimming with them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Front Page by AIM Network. And of course, before we leave you, $40 billion is a big bet on the future. And if you want to keep an eye on how it turns out, you know what to do. Yes, like, share, subscribe. We are only at 250,000. We want to go beyond and to infinity. Think AI, think AIM. For much of the modern world, Japan was the benchmark, the post-war miracle, the country that rebuilt from rubble into the world's most efficient economy, the place that taught everyone else how to manufacture, how to export, how to win. For decades, Asia had a very clear number one. But now, that changes. India has overtaken Japan. We are, of course, now the world's fourth largest economy. It's a big moment. Not because of the ranking, but because of how we got here. Japan grew by exporting to the world. India is growing by building a market at home and by moving up the value chain. That puts us in a different place altogether. Tonight, we look at the numbers behind it and the one force that could shape what comes next: artificial intelligence. And before we celebrate this moment, I want to take a moment of your time and celebrate with you. Front Page started when we were only at 60K subscribers. Today, because of all of your love and support, we are at 250,000 subscribers. This, of course, is a wonderful New Year's gift that you have given us. We at Front Page are a little greedy. We like to stay ahead of the curve all the time, as you know. So please keep showering us with your support. Please keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. We are only at 250,000. The year has just started, so no pressure. But please carry on, and we again want to thank you a lot. Anyway, back to this very inspirational and aspirational story. Here is the scoreboard. Nominal GDP, that's the raw value of all goods and services we produce. This is basically approximately $4.18 trillion. Japan, well, they slipped into a recession. We surged ahead. Economists call this the Goldilocks phase, which is not too hot, not too cold, just right. High growth, controlled inflation, strong investment. It's a rare trifecta. While the West battles slowdowns, India is sprinting. The gap with Germany, yes, the world's third largest economy, is narrowing, and it's narrowing fast. But let's pause, yes, and I guess be very real for a second. Is this just a post-pandemic bounce? Is this just a statistical blip? Well, the data says no. Domestic demand is up. We are buying more. Industrial output is up. Factories are running hotter. Services are booming. But to stay ahead, to catch Germany, we need a new engine. We need a turbocharger. And ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and the only AI. Yes, the government's math is quite bold. They estimate artificial intelligence could add $1.7 trillion to the Indian economy by 2035. Let me repeat that. $1.7 trillion. That is not pocket change. That is roughly the size of the entire Australian economy, added just through smart code and silicon. This is the India AI mission. So, what is the government actually doing? Let's actually go ahead and take a peek into that. They're spending money, very serious money, over 10,300 crore rupees committed for the next 5 years. What is the goal? Compute capacity. The government is procuring tens of thousands of GPUs, graphics processing units. These are the brains behind the AI. They are making them accessible to startups, to researchers, to the kid in a dorm room with $1 billion idea. Yes, if you're watching, we already are congratulating you. It's about lowering the barrier to entry from urban tech hubs in Bengaluru to rural centers in Bihar. The plan is to make AI native to India. Now, well, I think I know what you're thinking. Great numbers, but what about my job? Is ChatGPT coming for my paycheck? Well, it's the classic fear. But there is, of course, a catch, as there always is. The industry estimates demand for data scientists and AI engineers is only skyrocketing. The talent pool is expanding, but it's struggling to keep up. The jobs are there. The question is, do you have the skills? And of course, you know that this isn't just about coding. It's also about agriculture. AI telling farmers when to harvest. And about healthcare. AI spotting tumors doctors might miss. And its impact on the informal economy, using voice-to-text AI to help a shopkeeper get a loan without, well, filling out English forms. The vision? Inclusive growth, not just for the top 1%, but for the bottom pyramid, connecting the unconnected. So if Japan was a story of manufacturing efficiency in the 80s, India wants to be the story of digital intelligence in the 2000s. Now, of course, we move into the front page take. India at number 4 is definitely a milestone. But India at number 3, that's the mission. It requires scale, it requires ambition, and it requires AI. We overtook Japan because we are resilient. We will challenge Germany if we are innovative. So, well, before you like, share, subscribe, I only request comment Achtung Germany if you believe we will. This is Front Page by AIM. Think AI, think AIM. The trade war, well, just went from cold to calculated. China has dropped a new number that changes everything, 50%. If you build chips in China, half your tools must now be Chinese. But that's just the flaw. Insiders say the real target is 100%. This is, I guess, not just a policy tweak. It's an eviction notice for Western technology. Beijing is backing this with a war chest that makes Wall Street blink. The big fund phase 3 just deployed 344 billion yuan. That is $49 billion of state capital flooding into local tool makers. Of course, before we move on, I have to tell you this. When we started Front Page, we were only at 60K subscribers. We kept going. We were encouraged. Why? Because of all of your support and love. And you know what that has done? It has brought us to more than 250,000 subscribers today. And I have to say, and thank you again from myself and the entire team here at Front Page, that it is one of the most wonderful New Year's gift that we could have received. Of course, we are a little greedy here on Front Page, so a little request. Please keep liking, sharing, subscribing. And of course, this is a momentous Front Page because it is the last one of the year 2025. But 2026 is going to be a rock star of a year for you and us at Front Page. So, well, we're going to keep the engine going. And of course, now we have to share with you what happened in China. So, back to the story. So, well, who pays the price? Start with NVIDIA. China still accounts for roughly 13 to 17% of NVIDIA's revenue. That is $17 billion sitting on a geopolitical fault line. So if Chinese fabs are forced to use domestic tools like Nora or AMEC, they won't be optimizing for NVIDIA's Blackwell chips. They will be optimizing for Huawei's Ascend. The ecosystem is splitting, and $17 billion is a lot of money. And then there is, of course, the legacy trap. Intel and AMD are exposed, and that too badly. Historically, China has been 24 to 27% of their annual revenue. That is one of every $4 coming from the very market that is now designing them out. Intel is trying to pivot, but you can't pivot when a quarter of your sales are held hostage. While they wait for the CHIPS Act money to hit the bank account, Beijing is already cashing checks. Local champions are rising. Nora Technology, their revenue just jumped 30% in 6 months. AMEC up 44%. These aren't startups anymore. They are actually state-sponsored giants killing the competition. And of course, the tool makers, companies like Applied Materials and Lam Research. China imported $33.5 billion worth of chip tools just last year. That is 51% of the entire global market. Wow, that's a mind-boggling number. Anyway, that definitely changes the picture. Half the world's demand for chip machines comes from China, and China just said, we don't want yours anymore. This is a massive revenue hole that Arizona and Germany cannot fill overnight, clearly. The narrative isn't just China builds, it's America loses its biggest customer. And Washington seems to have taken notice. In early December 2025, the US quietly adjusted export controls, allowing NVIDIA to resume limited shipments of its H200 AI chips to China under licensing and government review. The logic is, well, inside the administration is quite straightforward, which is controlled access keeps China tied to American technology instead of pushing it faster toward full self-reliance. Whether that's leverage or maybe a risk is still an open question. But you know what is not an open question is this. Once supply chains turn political, companies start looking for a third option. So where does the money go? Well, it looks for a lifeboat, and that lifeboat is India. While China locks down, India is projected to reach, well, $55 billion in semiconductor consumption by 2026. It's a fraction of China today, for sure. But it's the only growth story left that's open for business. Tata Electronics, Micron in Gujarat. They aren't actually just building factories, they're building the plan B for the global economy. The world needs a new factory floor, and India is the only one with enough land to hold it. And if you're ready, here is the final front page take of 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here we go. Here is the final bill. This decoupling comes with a price tag. When you split the global supply chain in half, efficiency dies. Costs go up. That $49 billion Chinese subsidy isn't free, and neither are the tariffs coming from the West. We are, of course, moving from just in time to just in case. And just in case is expensive. The cheap chip era died today. So I guess we might need to, well, get ready to pay the difference. And that's the reality. And also, what's the reality is that 2026 is round the corner. Wishing everyone a very happy new year. Of course, this is Front Page by AIM Network, India's definitive media organization on everything AI and technology. You are going to, I'm pretty sure, continue to like, share, and subscribe. Tune in Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. onwards for our live broadcast of Front Page. We are only at, yes, you are right, only 250,000 subscribers as of right now. There's no pressure. But given your love and support, I'm pretty sure we are going to be breaching those marks very rapidly. Yes? This is me saying bye-bye from Front Page. See you next year.